Hey, what's going on everybody? Raging Phoenix here. So today I'm going to show you guys how to set up the community mission for Phantom Epoch. So this mission is kind of like its own standalone mission. You can consider it like a training mission because the actual game of Phantom Epoch is like a pretty long campaign. I think there's like 40 missions in the game, but this right here is just kind of like its own standalone. So if you guys have Tabletop Simulator and you want to go ahead and try this, I will leave a link to the mod down in the description below. Plus, if you guys want to check out Phantom Epoch, support it, see what it's all about, I will leave a link to the Kickstarter down below as well. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so the first thing you're going to want to do is create a couple characters. So if you're playing this with a buddy, like if there's two of you, if you have a couple friends, three friends, like, because this is a 2 to 4 player co-op game, then you're good to go. But if you're going to play this solo, you have to at least make two characters, because at least two characters have to be present during each mission. So you come over here to create a new character, and I'll just go ahead, name mine Phoenix. Alright, so then you have some species to pick from. So you have the Volanin. Each class has a male and female, or I should say species, not class. Human, Slink, and Growlic. So for the first one, I'm going to go ahead and choose a Slink, female. And then here we have the classes. You have a Rogue, a Warrior, a Ranger, a Healer, and an Arsonist. I'm going to go ahead and go with the Ranger since it is my favorite class. Plus, being a Slink, staying at range is actually really good because you get guard +1 against range attacks. So if any enemies do attack you from range, which, spoiler, during this mission they do, it'll have a little bit of defense against ranged attacks. But having a Slink Ranger is actually really good because you can guard against range attacks and return the range attacks yourself. So there's that. As you can see, my character's over here. This is your character sheet. This is where all your equipment goes. This is where your items go. This is where extra attachments go, bandage slots, all that. So we have to create a second character since I am doing the solo. We'll just go ahead and name this guy Bill, I guess. And we'll go ahead and just make a Growlic male because I like the Growlics. The Growlics have the most HP in the game. And we'll go ahead and make him a Rogue because why not? The Rogue also has a lot of cards that are low AP. And where is it? The Growlics have low AP as well. They have a max of 9. So it's a pretty good fit, I think. So, alright. So here you see that character made, same stuff, all the equipment slots, items, bandages, attachments, all that. Alright, so the next thing that you want to do is you got to decide whether you're going to do this mission tier 1 or tier 2. For the sake of this, I'm doing tier 1, so these are all the tier 1 attachments right here, and before you start, each character draws 4 of these and then picks 2 to keep. I should also mention too that when you do draw the attachments, if you get this one, the broken attachment, discard it and draw another card from the deck because broken attachments don't do anything. Normally, as you can see by the text here, you would gain 1 Nova Cell and return it to the deck, but for the sake of this mission, you're not going to be doing anything like that. You're just going to pick 2 of the attachments, as I already said. So when you pick these, just discard them and draw a new one until you have 4 actual attachments to choose from. Okay, so here you can see the 2 attachments that I had chosen for the Rogue out of the 4 that I drew. And every character also starts with their own attachment right here, which just gives you an extra crit ability. If you want, you can remove that and just add these 2 to the slots. But I always like having this just to have the extra crit ability available. And this right here, you will see these icons, as you can see right here. You have to have the card matching the icon in order to be able to equip it. So for this, I think I will go ahead and just add the sharpened edge there, just for the sake of demonstration. But yeah, so those are the two that I picked for this character. And here are the two attachments that I picked for the Ranger. I didn't get any with like the bow icon on them, but I did pick these two out of all the ones that I had available. And I think I like the impact charge more than the adhesive grip, because the adhesive grip's really good for if you fumble, but I like the impact charge just because inflicting knockdown's actually really good to do against enemies. So we'll go ahead and equip that on that character. Alright, these right here are Nova Cells. So during the game of Phantom Epoch, whether it's this mission or any other mission that you're doing, these will always act as currency, which in between missions you can spend these to get items, equipment, all that stuff. So these are actually really good to collect throughout the game, and you usually collect them just by defeating enemies. Every time you defeat an enemy, they drop Nova Cells based on their difficulty tier, but since this is just like its own standalone mission, you start the game with 13 Nova Cells, and you get to pick equipment. You get to pick all the equipment that you want with the Nova Cells that you do have available. So, alright, so over here we have the equipment cards that you get to pick from since I'm doing Tier 1. I will say that there are quite a few cards for this mission that aren't really useful, such as these leather boots and these iron sabatons. These are only good if the map has a lot of hazards that you can move through, because these ignore hazard effects, but this map in particular does not have any hazards whatsoever, so I wouldn't recommend using any of these. Also, the iron helmet over here, or Brainium helmet I should say, and these Brainium chest plates, I don't recommend using these either, because they involve doing something if an enemy completes a melee attack against you. But for the most part, the enemies in this mission are going to be attacking you from range, so these aren't very good either. I mean, you can try them out if you want to, but I highly recommend not even taking these. So that does narrow down your options quite a bit, but there's still a lot of good items to choose from here. Alright, as you can see here, these are the two equipment that I picked. Iron Breastplate and Rapidity Footwear. I picked these for both characters because I feel like these are the best equipment to take on this mission if you're playing Tier 1. So, this gives +1 guard, which to me for the Slink is actually really good anyway. But for the other guy, because he has a lot of HP, it's really good. Makes him more tanky, but for the Slink, it makes it where ranged attacks are going to have +2 guard instead of just +1. And the Rapidity Footwear here lets you add 3 movement points to a move action if you choose to, and that's really good for when you just need that little extra to get across the map. So after you pick your equipment and your attachments, what you're going to want to do is these Nova Cells right here, whatever's left over, which as you can see I have 13 left over, you're going to want to place them like that. Every time there's a number here, that's how many Nova Cells it takes to charge that equipment. So every time when that equipment is used, whether manual or automatic, you will remove the Nova Cell, and then you cannot recharge until resting. So we'll go ahead and do that now. Alright, now that the characters are all set up, it's time to start setting up the actual game itself, the whole map. So, as you can see here, these icons represent adversaries that you're going to encounter during this mission. So, depending on how many players you have during the mission, that's how many adversaries you're going to have to encounter. So you're only going to put these two if you only have 2 characters. You're going to put these 2 plus this guy if you have 3. Then you're going to put all of them if you have 4 characters on the mission. So For that, you come up to the combat interface, spawn adversary, and choose the wild librarian. And then you just grab them from here. And you're good to go on that. So the next thing is every time you see an orb icon like this, unless instructed to do so by the text up here not to place the orb, you're always going to place an orb here usually. So whenever you grab the orb from up here, it'll always look like this. That means it's activated. Just go ahead and flip that over and now it's deactivated. Always put it to this side unless it's supposed to be on the activated side. Next, you see these entry points up here. This represents where the characters start. Every mission has these in different areas, but for this mission, this is where your characters start. You just go ahead and place your characters up there. And if you have two, you can choose to start back there. You can choose to start closer. You can, wherever you want to go. And then for the sake of this mission, the text up here does say that you do get allies for this. So you would spawn another adversary. For this one, your ally is going to be this guy, which is the Slink Scout. And each character gets a Slink Scout, and you got to put them in the rows here, A, B, C, or D. Each player chooses where they want to place their scout in those rows. So for the sake of this, we'll just go ahead and set it up quick and put them like that. And that's pretty much it. That's all you got to do in order to set up this mission. So pretty much if you need help at any time figuring out what to do, rulebook's up here. Here's the card that tells you what to do for this mission specifically. Here's all the tiebreakers. And yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to show you guys today. So if you guys like the video, remember to leave a like, subscribe, share, all of that, and I'll see you guys next time.